Right.
Let's get started with your life first. I want to know what makes Josh Tapp tick.
That
sounded pretty good. So let's get, where were you born? Where are you upbringing from?
Born and raised in Idaho, which most people don't even know where that is. I mean, we're up in the mountains. You've probably heard of Yellowstone National Park. We are literally about an hour away from that, hour and a half. So that's where I grew up. My dad actually built cabins. That was his career, was a contractor, and we built cabins like within 20 minutes of Yellowstone. So I grew up in the mountains, on the lakes, and riding motorcycles, doing all the fun stuff up in the mountains. And so it's a beautiful place. We try to be quiet about that because we try to keep the Californians especially out of here. But
That's what they do out here in Texas. I live in Texas now because I'm from LA, but now everybody moves out to Texas. So I get that. I understand that. You're a farm boy. What did mom and dad do?
So my dad was a contractor, right? My mom was just stay at home. She just took care of us. My dad had multiple entrepreneurial ventures throughout his life. And I'm actually a 5th generation entrepreneur. That's what I like to boast to people. You know, it's in my blood, it's in my DNA, and I'm a huge advocate for being an entrepreneur and starting young. Because I know for me, my whole life has been entrepreneurship.
God, I knew there's something about like you because I've come like 4 generations, and then with the Jews, only about 4 generations because everybody got persecuted and lost. So I don't know what happened before that, but likewise, a lot of entrepreneurs. And is it weird? Do you think, like, real quick, do you think entrepreneurs like attracts like? But it almost seems like entrepreneurs are friends with lots of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, it's kind of a selfish thing of, hey, I want to network, but I think on a deeper level, it's because we attract creativity. Entrepreneurship at its core isn't, I think people associate it with business, but like entrepreneurship is all about creating something and growing it, and that's just kind of like why we're here on this earth, in my opinion, is to create. And so it's creative people attract creative people.
Awesome. So what was school like for you? Were you a good student, or did you have challenges? What was that like?
These are good questions. Nobody ever asked me these things. I was a horrible student so my mom actually brought me home and homeschooled me when I was in middle school because our middle school here was like a cesspool of horrible things. So she's like, I've got to keep you safe from that. But so for 3 years, all she ever heard was me whining about wanting to go back to school because I'm a social person. So I wanted to get back to the people. Went through high school. In the first 2 years, I was really behind. I had like a 2.8 GPA. And that was with me trying. I felt like I was trying. And then I had somebody mention this thing called college, never had been talked about in my home. Both my parents actually have college degrees, but thought they were worthless and are both, into entrepreneurship. And, but people started mentioning, hey, like, so where are you going to college? And I'm sitting here, a junior in high school going, why go to college? Like, why would I go? What's the point? And the truth of it was that for me, I kind of gave into the peer pressure. I was like, oh shoot, I've got to get good grades. And, luckily it was positive peer pressure, and I got a 4.0 my last 2 years. And I realized, it's just do everything, even if you're not a great learner. But it really, for me, taught me to love educating myself. That went on into my undergraduate and into my master's degree, carrying honors throughout those degrees, because I really figured out how to learn for myself and like what classes to take, because I knew which ones I actually cared about learning about. I avoided the classes that I wasn't interested in. And that's kind of how I started succeeding at school.
Right. What would you get a master's in?
It's an MBA, Master's in Business. And I'd be remiss in saying I have it. I have like 2 classes left. I've been taking it in the evenings, which people make fun of me all the time. They're like, well, you have a successful business, but I love learning. I think people are wasting their time if they're not educating themselves, and whether that's the typical route or not. But, I started this MBA like 5 years ago, and I've just kind of like slowly worked through it. And it's been very, very valuable. Being an entrepreneur in the tech space or in the digital space, it's like us versus them versus school. It's like entrepreneurship versus schooling. And I was like, I kind of want to ride both lines. I want to see what both lives look like. Never really had any intentions of working for somebody, never really have, but it was doing this schooling for me has been crucial in scaling my companies. Building a company, you can learn that, but scaling an MBA has been invaluable.
Right. So real quick. So that was the crossroads for you. If you think in your educational life was attaching enough pain towards, not making it to college, and a lot of pleasure towards, going there. And that was the pivotal crossroad for you.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, this is a story I always tell everybody, it's kind of part of our sales message on our website and everything. But for me, being that 5th generation entrepreneur, where I really found